Hey everyone, RemanX here, and we've got some more hard truths for you because I know you guys are starting to plan for Dark Dimension 5. Everybody's trying to get in there and race to the top. Well, no, not a lot of you are, just a few crazy people. But I'm going to take my hat out of the ring. I'm not going to chase Dark Dimension 5 that hard right now. The main reason is I'm going to get it probably gradually. I'll probably get it in the top 100, 200, maybe even 300. It's relatively easy with the size of my roster and the amount of content that I'm doing right now that I can do without the exorbitant cost. I don't have enough hoarded resources, and I tip my hats to the like of philosopher who have been building their rosters for just such a moment. I typically don't do that because I want to build the team that I think makes the most sense. So let's talk about a few things. First things first, stop worrying about Dark Dimension 5. You'll know when you're ready. You'll start filling gear slots and you'll start wondering who to do. And the answer is no one. No one yet. At some point in the next week, we've been kind of teased through the Twitter post that the patch may be arriving as soon as next week. We'll have the data mine for the exact map of Dark Dimension 5. It will be no surprise to me if the Dark Dimension 5 files are inside of the patch. And with that, we can start the theory crafting. That being said, it is a pipe dream and a non-lucid world you live in if you think you're bringing 4 symbiotes to the city nodes in Dark Dimension 5. Stop. I don't care. I don't want to hear about it. Congratulations. If you're worried about bringing them, you may only need to be able to bring 1. You may only be able to bring 2. And that's from the simple fact that when you're evaluating who you're bringing, not only do you have to take into account the actual G16s, but you have to take into account their uniques. These uniques are going to overlap in some of the worst possible ways. And if you guys remember, for those of you guys who raced through Dark Dimension 2, this was the key to Dark Dimension 2. And what'll happen is if you're not it doesn't matter if it takes 54 or 64 or 72 mini uniques. It doesn't matter. You're going to get those over time. What's going to matter is finding enough of these to actually click on them on enough characters. And I don't think anybody's having this conversation with you right now, and I think it's a problem. But if you want to get through Dark Dimension 5, you need to figure out how to not use the same of those on more than 2 characters. More importantly, you're not going to be able to double up with the current order of things. You're going to want to make sure if you do Cloak, which he is high on my consider list, you are not going to be able to do Deathpool and Adam Warlock reasonably. City is the first of your missions. And so while you can get 5 in the first part, you're going to have to build a city team. And we all know that the city Dark Dimension, we would love to bring, 4 or 5 symbiotes, but it's not going to work that way. The number of alien spores that you need would require a sacrifice to an alien god for you to actually see them come around. Actual sacrifice is not recommended by the influencer. That being said, a character like Symbiote Spider-Man that can synergize with characters who apply debuffs, a character like Anti-Venom who can take certain debuffs off a target, especially characters applying multiple debuffs, a character like Dagger who takes energy that apparently nobody else needs or wants to use, Shang-Chi, who is probably one of the best characters in the game as the fifth man. He's got the, what is he? He's MSF's sixth man award. He basically fits in so many different teams because of what he can do. So the reason why we're looking at these is these are all lower cost. I say lower cost. They're all lower cost. They're not a full 90 of the G16s. They're early enough. They're going to get you value in a lot of different game modes, and they might actually be part of the meta when you get Dormammu. But to be clear, if the node has 5 Elsas, or characters that punish you when you evade, and we all know who they are, characters that are immune to blind, like 4 rhinos on the node, it's going to be a headache. They could have very well built with that in mind. So if you're equipping G16, stop. It's really important to wait because these resources are scarce. And they're scarce by design. Now, I say stop. Do with what you may. If you're having fun playing this game and you don't care about Dark Dimension 5, more power to you. But personally, anytime I finish one of the Dark Dimensions, and you please tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. Anytime I finish a Dark Dimension, the most rewarding part of it was never the rewards. Was never the multiple red stars on Ultimus or Ultron. It was always the release valve. Ultron felt like the most rewarding. Doom has become the gift that keeps on giving. I don't think we understood the value of Doom until we started pushing the harder nodes and got him to higher levels, because his health just keeps building up and becoming exceptional if you can keep pinging him right above the health threshold. That being said, everyone wants to sit there and theory craft the best team. You're not prepared. The information isn't there. Infographics at this point in time always frustrate me because they're a little premature. People make decisions off of infographics that are made every day, and I like to make sure that you don't waste resources. Part of the reason why I create content for this game is because I see the frustration the community has when they click a button and it doesn't work the way it's supposed to, or the way they want to, or the way they need it to. The main reason why I ever started doing this was because of the fact that I could make mistakes with my roster and recover. I just pulled a 7 red star hand assassin. If you pulled one on your account, you probably would have thrown your phone across the planet. But instead, I go, okay, my next 7 red star will have to be worth it. And that's the thing. You can't make these rash resources based on an infographic and somebody who has no idea the resources in which you manage. You have the ability to make these decisions, whether you're passionate about a character and enjoy a character like OG Spider-Man. All right? If you love OG Spider-Man and build him to G16, just understand that he may not be the best performing character in Dark Dimension 5, and you're going to be making sacrifices if you make that choice. But at the end of the day, there are very few characters that are both raid viable and potentially Dark Dimension viable, and more importantly, cost effective to get into Dark Dimension 5, where I'd even start making the recommendation. And a lot of the warning I have to you is the after Silver Surfer meta has more to do with Dark Dimension than it does with anything else. When they saw Sinister cloning and making clones as strong as a 5 red star character at 7 red star, they probably took notice. So the power creep, the power leap is real. Any character that was produced after Silver Surfer probably has strong contention. If you took a look at the stats of characters based on their release cycle, you would see just how many of them wind up in that high damage, high health category. And what that means to me is prepare for a slaughter fest in Dark Dimension 5. If you click on a character that has outdated stats, you're going to be punished unless you build them up with red stars and ISO to make them viable. And this is all with just the foresight and the belief that that's where the power leap has been growing to. At the size of your roster and limiting what you can do inside a dark dimension has been part of the plan the entire time. And it's a necessity in part of this game. A character that was released 3 years ago that can still be viable is a good thing, but it's not if he's the best character in the game. The game will become stagnant. It'll become stale. So far, characters at the bottom of the roster have seen rework. Sabretooth may actually wind up being strong consideration as a 5th member to help you get through global. But remember that he's going to be taking that coveted molecular cloth. There might be some better characters out there that utilize. So you're going to have to make those decisions. If you can get it down to the least number of those G16 uniques, you will have the ability to finish farther and more efficient than you ever have. But that is a process in and of itself. It'll be the focus of the tool that we'll be releasing down the road soon. I have some of the best minds at MSF and Bacon working on it to hopefully bring it out, so we'll have those resources relatively soon. Stay tuned.